New this morning, a SWAT situation disrupted a neighborhood in Albuquerque for most of the night. The original call came in about 9 last night about shots being fired near Louisiana and Oakland. That's just north of Alameda. Now, a witness tells us what happened. Listen.
There were 2 shots fired off of Oakland Street. A white gentleman jumped in his blue Mazda, took off. There were some officers already in the area. They responded, and we believe they have them trapped over there at that storage facility. And the SWAT team and ERT are setting up perimeter to move in.
Pretty good description there. Now, this man, who has lived in the neighborhood for 10 years, says he couldn't get back to his home because of the standoff. Police say the man they were after shot another man in the arm, then took off. So SWAT, K-9 officers, and air support were all called in. Negotiators discovered the man inside of his home just a few houses down from where the shooting happened. They say Eric Meckenbauer, 36 years old, surrendered peacefully and is now facing a number of charges. Well, district attorney is now looking at the case of a 5-year-old girl who was left behind at a convenience store this weekend to see if he thinks it was done intentionally.
In the meantime, the Children, Youth and Families Department gave the 5-year-old back to her parents, who say it was all just a big mix-up.
The parents and the caregiver, they were all pretty distraught about the whole situation. Upset, everybody was crying at the, and really looking forward to being reunited with the child.
All right, officials say this 5-year-old, her parents, 7 other children, and a babysitter all piled into 2 cars and went to an Alsups in Fort Sumner Saturday afternoon. The girl's father and the babysitter went inside to buy supplies. The little girl was sitting in the 3rd row of a GMC Yukon, according to officials, and somehow she got out and went into the store without anyone noticing. The group returned to the lake, each thinking the other had the little girl. Well, an Alsups employee says the child was dirty, scared, and crying, and left alone for 4 hours. The Alsups people even took her across the street to the Family Dollar store to buy her new clothes. They called the sheriff's department, who found the girl's parents at different parts of the lake. A mid-school student is arrested accused of leaving a message threatening one of the Roswell school shooting victims earlier this year. Chavez County Sheriff deputies say an 8th grade boy attends Berendo Middle School, where Nathaniel Tavares and Kendall Saunders were shot by Mason Campbell back in January. Well, now deputies say an 8th grade student admitted to writing, quote, "I will finish off Nathaniel on 9/2/14. End quote, on a bathroom wall. Nathaniel is still recovering from injuries he suffered. Deputies say the male student who was arrested has been suspended. The school shooting from January, Mason Campbell, the shooter, by the way, is serving an 8-year sentence at the Juvenile Detention Center in Albuquerque.
5:04 now. Roswell police are investigating a homicide, and they say the killer is still on the run. Roswell police say Pablo Ibarra was killed inside of a home on West 11th Street Sunday morning. The Plains Valley Online News captured this video after police got to the home about 7 that morning.
We had a neighbor that actually said he heard noises and requested police respond for a unknown trouble.
Roswell police say right now they do not know who the killer is. We have uncovered a big problem with social workers here in New Mexico, and now the state board that licenses them is working to fix it. Right now, people who want to get a social worker license do not have to go through a background check. For instance, we found that Lori Vallejos got a license even though she was convicted of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon after police say she shot at her boyfriend because he would not buy her meth. But now the board is looking at changing the rules.
Our primary mission is to protect the general public. And if there's cases that are falling through the cracks, then we need to reassess the law.
Many social workers end up getting background checks when they get a job, such as with CYFD. Liz?
Education Secretary-designate Hannah Scandera has signed off on former APS Superintendent Winston Brooks's $350,000 payout. It comes after a judge approved the settlement Friday morning. Well, it basically lets Brooks out of his contract 2 years early. The school board says the payout avoids a potentially costly legal fight.
And we decided in the end that basically economically it made sense to not get in a situation where we are expending $1 million in litigation costs and not get in a situation where we disrupt our school district.
Brooks and his wife were both in court for the hearing. He resigned 2 weeks ago after the APS board president hired a private attorney to investigate a personnel issue. News 13 has learned that it was in connection to Brooks's wife. According to the agreement, the investigative report will stay private. One group is trying to get those records public and says they may have to sue if they are not released. Meanwhile, the education secretary says the money for the payout is covered in the budget.
APS is now working to stop the spread of what may be the Norovirus at one of its schools. Parents at Susie Reyes Marmon Elementary in Northwest Albuquerque got a letter last week saying there's an illness that's spreading and it could be the Norovirus. Sources tell us more than 100 staff and students were out sick last week and another 35 were sent home Friday. The school is still open and APS is working with the health department to stop whatever is making from people sick from spreading. Well, now parents don't have to wait for letters to tell them what's going on at their kids' schools. There's an app for that.
Get the information they need from the school in real time on their mobile device on the go.
APS has the first of a kind app that lets parents know what's going on in their kids' schools, such as illnesses, snow days, delays, lockdowns, evacuations, and more. Parents can also look at school lunch menus, calendars, and district news. APS is one of the first public school districts in the whole country to send specific smartphone alerts to parents for only the schools that they select. The app, which is developed here in Albuquerque by that young lady, Lisa Abeda, is free.